this is Greg Kelly. Donate now to Toys for Tots, which works year-round. Go to toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots supports children in need throughout the year with programs like the Toys for Tots Literacy Program. Established in 2008, it has provided over 63 million books to disadvantaged children. The Toys for Tots Literacy Program is committed to providing disadvantaged children with direct access to books and educational resources that enhance their ability to read and communicate effectively. Go to toysfortots.org.
In the squadron, they called him Bullets, but we call him Greg Kelly. Greg Kelly is on the air
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right. Hello. We're back. Easter mission complete. The kids went to an Easter egg hunt, and I don't know. It's like I'm signing them up for all these systems, and I kind of know ahead of time what's going to happen. I feel like I don't know. These systems are very, very strong, you know. An Easter egg hunt. What do we teach kids to do? Basically, be greedy, push and shove, you know, hoard candy. I just don't know what the hell the point is. That damned Easter bunny. I'm a little bit sick of him. I know it's cute. I know I was into it. We left carrots out for the Easter bunny and all that stuff, but I don't know. This candy everywhere. It's getting a little bit ridiculous. It really is. And I'm wondering, you know, what are the systems that I am setting up? This whole kind of more, gimme. This stuff is poison. I finally know that. I know that. It took me about 4 billion Sour Patch Kids to figure that out, but I now know that this stuff is poison, and I don't like the most important message of Easter, right? The story of Christ, his resurrection. I mean, and how eternal life is available to each and every one of us. And if we only look to him, capital H, if we only got to know him, talk to him, let him talk to us, listen to him, how much more beautiful and sweeter and lighter everything would be. You know, instead, I'm all stressed out getting the kids to the damned Easter egg hunt on time. Yeah. Making them look all sweet in the Christmas and the Easter best. And it is kind of nice, but at the same time, who needs it? Oh, well. So I'll figure that out. Every now and then I'm like, maybe I should just move into the country and not let them know about any of this stuff, you know? The world is awfully corrupt. It sure is. And that's okay. You can be safe from a corrupt world, even in a corrupt world, but you gotta look to him, capital H, Jesus and the rest. And it's so beautiful and it's so powerful. And I really believe it. I really do. And I found myself getting worked up about it. And then I just decided to let go. Hey, they rescued the final crew member from that F-15 that was shot down. I think that's beautiful. We got him. He's safe and sound. All right. So there are two guys in an F-15. Did you see the video I made the other day? The first time an F-15 flew, this plane that was shot down over Iran, 200 miles in country, was all the way back in 1972. How about that one? The airplane first flew in 1972. That's really something when you think about it. There's talk of a ceasefire. I like that that's in the air, but I want to read you a few more details about what happened with the downed airman. He hid in a cave, and this was like one of the most successful rescue operations ever. It reminds some people of what happened in Iran in 1980, was it? Right? Remember that? Jimmy Carter and the rest? All right, listen to this. Wall Street Journal. For nearly 2 days, injured and alone, a U.S. aviator hid in a remote mountain crevice as Iranian forces and militias closed in on him with helicopters and drones. God is good, the Air Force colonel had radioed once he reached an elevated ridge, a message that was initially met with suspicion in Washington as a possible Iranian trap, as officials scrambled to verify he was alive. Early Sunday, he heard the heavier roar of U.S. aircraft and a barrage of fire as U.S. commandos reached him 200 miles deep inside Iran. As they whisked him to safety, they blew up aircraft stranded on the ground rather than risk the sophisticated military equipment falling into Iranian hands, leaving behind a final explosion and a plume of smoke. Yeah, we blew up our own airplanes there. How about that one? The rescue mission that U.S. officials said unfolded in the craggy gorges of southwestern Iran was the kind of operation that military commanders both plan for and dread. A downed American airman in enemy territory, hostile forces converging, and early attempts faltering under fire. Now, by the way, this is what the military does, right? About 30% of our force over there is there to get pilots out if need be. We train for it. We can do it. We know how to do it. It's all good. And we did it again. I think it's great. Okay, what else here? The rescue mission that U.S. officials said unfolded in the craggy gorges of southwest Iran, yeah. The aviator, who has not been identified, had been one of the two crew flying in an F-15 Strike Eagle with the call sign Dude 44. Oh, this is Dude 44 coming in. This is Dude 44. I'm in hot. It was shot down by Iranian forces on Friday. Shortly after the plane crashed, Defense Secretary Hegseth and Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, briefed President Trump about the situation. They told him the Pentagon had planned for this scenario and could rescue the airman. Once the Pentagon confirmed the aviator's identity, Hegseth rushed to the Oval Office to tell him and seek a final order, officials say. Trump immediately gave his approval. We have to get him. Couldn't you have called him on the phone? Got to rush all the way across the river? That's like a 10-minute drive. Why would you do that? The effort to recover the officer set off a sprawling, high-risk rescue mission involving some 100 Special Operations Forces, dozens of U.S. warplanes and helicopters, and a last-minute Central Intelligence Agency deception campaign to buy more time. I think I was possibly a victim of this CIA deception operation. They started to put out that they had both been rescued. Here, listen to this. When airmen go down, you can't get them in very tough countries like Vietnam, Trump told the Wall Street Journal on Sunday morning. He was able to climb up as wounded as he was able to climb up into a crevice, the president continued, saying the airmen could hear the U.S. forces looking for him. A lot of great things happened. Troops led by Central Command brought a devastating array of firepower to keep its enemy at bay. 4 B-1 bombers, part of a large air armada, dropped nearly 100 2,000-pound satellite-guided bombs, according to 2 U.S. officials. MQ-9 Reaper drones also struck suspected fighters as they approached within kilometers of the aviator's hiding site. The search for an American airman stranded behind enemy lines jolted the U.S., making what had been an abstract air war feel visceral beyond the grainy footage of explosions released by the White House. It also provided both sides with a new narrative as the war enters its 6th week. The Iranian regime has portrayed the downing of the jet as proof that the U.S. could be bloodied and has challenged Trump's claims of American air superiority. Again, every war we've ever fought, right, even the ones that we win in 20 minutes, aircraft get shot down. Just happens. The 100-hour war, Gulf War I, we lost like 2 dozen airplanes. Plenty of pilots, too. Let's see here. President Trump and some of his allies have been calling the successful operation an Easter miracle as the administration seeks to mobilize flagging public support for the war. Open the effing strait, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. You saw that, right? He did. He said the FUC blank IN apostrophe straight, you crazy bastards, or you'll be living in hell. He posted it on Truth Social early Easter morning about the Strait of Hormuz. There was so much horror about that tweet. Who cares? It's fine. I heard that F word. I hear it everywhere I go. I just can't. I can't get outraged by it. I've heard presidents say it. Presidents have said it. Joe Biden said it. He said it out loud. We all heard him say it. Dick Cheney said it, but somehow it's like, it's cute when they do it. It's keeping it real. No, we're allowed to talk to our enemies like this. The most famous rescue operation that the U.S. military had previously attempted in Iran, aimed at freeing 53 U.S. Embassy staff hostages nearly 46 years ago, had failed dramatically after a series of mishaps punctuated by a fiery crash at the desert staging area. Now, the worst-case scenario, when the F-15E came under fire on Friday, the aircrew pulled their ejection seat handles. I know what that's like. It blows the canopy, it blasts the seats out of the cockpit, and deploys the parachutes. Below them, the damaged plane crashed hundreds of miles inside Iranian territory. Wow. But while a U.S. military team was able to quickly rescue the pilot, the other crew member, also known as a weapons systems officer, went missing. We didn't play up the first one because then they would have found out about the second one. So by not talking about the first one, it took them a day and a half to find out there was a second one, Trump told the Journal on Sunday about the missing airmen. The news first broke on Iranian state television. Reading from a sheet of paper, a female anchor announced that a U.S. aircrew had ejected from a plane in southwest Tehran. The Americans were believed to be in a mountainous province of steep ridge lines. The woman on Iranian TV urged all tribespeople and villagers to cooperate with the military and law enforcement. If you capture the enemy pilot or pilots alive and hand them over to the police, you will receive a precious prize, she said, with a backdrop of a military march. You know, they didn't say dead or alive, did they? Let me see here. I'm looking at a picture of all these crazy people running all over the place trying to find the guy. Yeah. You stink. You guys stink. You don't know how to do it. We know how to do it. For the Pentagon, this was a worst-case scenario. It was the first time a piloted U.S. aircraft had been lost over enemy territory in more than 20 years. Trying to think about the last time that happened. I think it was Scott O'Grady in 1995. Does anybody remember that? I'm pretty sure. All right, Trump was in the Oval Office on Friday and Saturday. Hegseth was going over there all the time. Soon after the airman landed, he was able to get an elevated ridge and make contact by activating an emergency beacon to send his proof of life, according to senior officials. But as he went deeper into hiding in the mountainous terrain, communication went in and out as U.S. officials sought to keep track of his location. The complex mission quickly ran into problems. Oh, boy. As the U.S. redirected aircraft in the region to help with the mission, some planned targets, including missile launcher sites, were left untouched. That allowed Iran to fire more weapons than usual in recent days. Now, the first attempt to rescue the airmen had to be aborted. 2 H-6 helicopters took small arms fire from the ground, wounding the crews in both aircraft and requiring them to land safely in Kuwait. You ever see those H-6? You know what an H-6 helicopter is? Anybody remember TC and Magnum PI? That was basically an H-6. This kind of bulbous-like helicopter. It's very cool. Then 2 MC-130s, special operations aircraft, landed in a makeshift forward operating base inside Iran. They ran into problems with their nose wheel. Their nose wheels sank into the desert floor, and they couldn't take off. Now, there was a contingency plan. They had 3 smaller planes with specialized teams, and they made their way to the remote staging area. Time was of the essence. Regular Iranian forces, pro-regime militia, and members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps were on the airman's trail, using helicopters and drones to find him. The U.S. deployed the MQ-9 Reaper, if that's a drone, and other aircraft to strike the Iranian trackers, giving the airmen a greater chance of survival. And the CIA helped with the operation after using its capabilities to pinpoint the aviator's location in that mountain crevice, which a senior administration official described as finding a needle in a haystack. The agency shared that information with the Pentagon and White House and continued to feed real-time information over the course of the operation. The CIA also carried out a deception operation to throw the Iranians off. As the aviator hid from Iranian forces, the agency spread false word inside the country that U.S. military had already located the downed airman and were preparing to move him overland for exfiltration. I heard that rumor. Oh, my God. There's that crazy guy, Dan Rooney, again on TV with that big, I mean, give me a break, pal. All right? He's he's running for Congress. That's fine. He's got F-16 paraphernalia all over the place. He's wearing his flight jacket. He's got the Captain America T-shirt on. Easy there, fruitcake. Easy there. His wings are oversized, right? The wings are like 10 times bigger than they're supposed to be. Lieutenant Colonel Dan Rooney. Cheeseball. Watching him on Fox. All right. Hey, what's our deal here? Am I late? Am I late? No, good. Good, because I got more to do here. Much more to do. Israel also conducted strikes in the operation in coordination with U.S. Once the mission was complete, the U.S. destroyed the 2 MC-130Js, which cost about $100 million each. They also destroyed the 2 little helicopters, so their sensitive technology would not be compromised after they were left behind. How about that? After hours of speculation, Trump posted the news shortly after midnight. We got him! The U.S. military sent dozens of aircraft armed with the most lethal weapons in the world to retrieve him. He sustained injuries, but he will be just fine. Well, this is very cool. He's out, and I love it. I want to talk to him someday. A lot of people saying this is going to be a movie, right? Probably will. They made a movie. It's called Behind Enemy Lines about Scott O'Grady. Anybody remember that Scott O'Grady? It was pretty cool. They got him as well. I think it's going to be over. A 45-day ceasefire is very much in the air. It looks to me like it's winding down. Savannah Guthrie is back at work. Okay, I'll address that at a later time. I'll address that later. I'm not prepared to do it right now. I will talk about this, though. We have a situation where Mamdani is trying to make good on his pledge to have policies tailored for people of different races. If you are black, you get this benefit. If you are white, you do not get this benefit. If you are Hispanic, you get this benefit. If you are Asian, you do not get this benefit. What in the hell kind of city is this? What in the hell kind of country is this? That's not legal. That's not constitutional. That's crazy. He's really doing it, huh? I mean, this is what we have a Supreme Court for, right? All right. So does it really have to? Do you really? Didn't you take an oath to uphold the Constitution? Anybody can tell that this is unconstitutional. Hey, do me a favor. This is Trey Yingst from Fox on the phone with President Trump. Cut 6.
I just spoke with President Trump for 15 minutes. He gave me some new details on the negotiations behind the scenes with the Iranians and what's going to happen if Iran does not make a good faith deal. The president tells me if they don't make a deal and fast, I'm considering blowing everything up and taking over the oil. The president went on to say you're going to see bridges and power plants dropping all over their country.
All right, thanks, Trey. I thought you talked to the president. President's talking to a lot of people, and they don't put it on TV. They just have a conversation, and they tell you about what they talked about, which is often what was just in the Truth Social. And that Truth Social was one hell of a message. All right, some other stuff. The Rex Hoyerman case, some developments there. The astronauts are in space. That's going great. I've got the goods on Gavin Newsom like nobody in the country does. Working on it, though. Working on it. It's going to be a mega landmark piece of journalism by me. I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly.
Let's go, Brandon.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
All right. Why do they have the Easter egg roll the Monday after Easter? I'm like, don't you have it on Easter Day? They always have it on the Monday at the White House right now with that great big deranged looking Easter bunny in the suit. Anyway, look, interestingly, President Trump has a press conference that's going to start at 1 o'clock. In the meantime, he already had a press conference. Hey, we got this thing handy, right? 9 minutes, Justin. And we're not going to play probably the whole thing, but he did speak to a bunch of little reporters right outside the White House. A little gaggle, they call it. And let's do it, okay? I want to hear it.
President said that Iran had no anti-aircraft equipment. How were they able to drop those?
Well, you know what? When you do thousands and thousands of flights and you have one plane shot down and not mortally, the two pilots got out, they got a little bit lucky. And you know what? In war, you need a little bit of luck also. They got a little bit lucky. That's all they got.
Hey, hold on a second.
Well, it could end.
That band back there playing Stevie Wonder, right? It sounds like a wedding, right? Sounds like a pretty ordinary wedding band. Is that distracting? I mean, I can hear him, but is it annoying? Let's hear it one more time, and Justin will make a decision if this is too annoying. Okay? I don't mind Stevie Wonder. I don't particularly like this rendition of it, though. All right, pick it up.
Well, it could end very quickly, the war, if they do what they have to do. They have to do certain things. They know that. They've been negotiating, I think, in good faith. We've had total regime change. You know, the people there now are much more reasonable than the lunatics that you had in phase 1 and phase 2. They were lunatics. The people that we're negotiating with now on behalf of Iran are much more reasonable. You can call it what you want, but I call it regime change, and I think most people are giving us credit for that. The first regime was taken out. The second regime was taken out. Now the third group of people that we're dealing with is not as radicalized, and we think they're actually much smarter.
Why did you use such vulgar language in that truth social?
Only to make my point. I think you've heard it before.
Mr. President, have you spoken to the families of the airmen that have saved? Have you spoken to the families of the airmen that have saved?
I'm going to be doing it right now.
Mr. President, what do you say to Americans who are not a fan of the war?
They're foolish because the war is about one thing. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Had we not broken the Barack Hussein Obama agreement, you know what I'm talking about, the Iran nuclear deal. This is years ago, my first term. You would have had a total, Israel would have been gone, extinguished. Israel would have been wiped off the face of the earth, and the entire Middle East would have been, at a minimum, in big trouble. But I did it. That was phase one. We killed Soleimani. Without Soleimani, if they had Soleimani, it would be a whole different thing. Maybe. Would still be winning, but it would have been harder. Because we are obliterating that country. And I hate to do it, but we're obliterating, and they just don't want to say uncle. They don't want to cry, as the expression goes, uncle. But
Can
they
I
will.
jump in for a
And if
second?
they don't-
You notice the band stopped and then they picked it up and they're playing the same song. What is that? Brick House? It's not Brick House is the Commodore. I don't know what it is, but it's a Stevie Wonder. And they're playing the same song. They took a break and now they're playing the same song. What else? All right, pick it up if you don't mind.
And if they don't, then they'll have no bridges, they'll have no power plants, they'll have no anything. I won't go further because there are other things that are worse than those two. And we might have, well, the thing, if I had my choice, what would I like to do? Take the oil. Because it's there for the taking. There's not a thing they can do about it. Unfortunately, the American people would like to see us come home. If it were up to me, I'd take the oil, I'd keep the oil, and would make plenty of money. And I'd also take care of the people of Iran, much better than they've been taken care of. It's been a horrible, they've killed 45,000 people as of a month and a half ago. 45,000 protesters. We don't do that. So if I had my choice, I'd keep the oil. But I also want to make the people of our country happy. I think most people wouldn't understand that. I'll give you an example. Venezuela has worked out so incredibly. We have 100 million barrels of oil right now in Houston being refined. It's been great. The relationship with Venezuela, the leaders, has been fantastic. And I think we're going to have a long-term, very good relationship. And it might be beyond long-term. You understand what I mean? Well, I tell you what, I'm pretty good at this stuff, and I go around and I check. They'd like to see us win and come home. And I appreciate CNN for the first time maybe in my life. They did a poll. And everyone's saying, oh, is Trump losing MAGA? No, I'm not losing MAGA. MAGA loves what I'm doing. And CNN did a poll of MAGA voters, a big poll, very important poll, Harry. And he went on, he said, this is amazing, 100% support. He said, I've never had a 100% poll at anything before. And do you support Trump, MAGA people, which is, by the way, mostly Republican. And if you look, I would say MAGA makes up a majority, like about 95% of the Republican Party, all right? So they went out, they did a poll, and CNN came back 100% support. So they support what we're doing, but they would like to see it end and come back. But remember, wars last years. We're in there for 34 days, and we've obliterated a very powerful country in 34 days. If it were up to me, I'd like to keep the oil. I just don't think the people of the United States would really understand. Yeah, who are you with? Who are you with? Well, that's a radical left group of lunatics that you're with. Let me just tell you, very fair question. The Iranian people, when they don't hear bombs go off, they're upset. They want to hear bombs because they want to be free. And the only reason they're not out protesting, you know that, is because they were informed that if they protest, like the wrestler and his friends, if they protest, they will be shot immediately. And that's an edict, that's in writing. If they protest, if they go out in the streets, they will be immediately shot. They don't have guns. You know, we sent some guns, but the group that was supposed to give, which I said would happen to my people, I said it, I called it exactly, We sent guns, a lot of guns. They were supposed to go to the people so they could fight back against these thugs. You know what happened? The people that they sent them to kept them because they said, what a beautiful gun, I think I'll keep it. So I'm very upset with a certain group of people, and they're going to pay a big price for that. But the Iranian people will fight back as soon as they know they're not going to be shot and as soon as they can get weapons. If they had weapons, not many of them, if they had weapons that would go in the other way, and you know what would happen? Iran would give up in 2 seconds because they wouldn't be able to take it. But in Iran, they have absolutely no weaponry, and they've been told point blank, if you come out to the streets, you will be killed. As of this morning, and we have this on pretty good information, 45,000 protesters have been killed. Pretty bad.
Mr. President, you said Iran has been obliterated. Why are we still at war then?
It's a big country. They can't fight back. They have no capability. They have some missiles left. They have some drones left, but essentially they have no capability. They had a lucky shot with an airplane, but we got them back out. The rescue was incredible. And it wasn't of one person. It was of 2 person. There are those that say that's never happened before, because usually when you're shot down in strong enemy and deep enemy territory, you can't go after them because you'll end up losing 250 people to get one. So it's a terrible thing. But we had to make a decision. Do we do it or do we not? And we did. And, we have some helicopters with a lot of bullet holes in them right now. Probably you know that. Now, I'm very honored to have rebuilt our military. In my first term, second term.
That it?
And we are the most respected country anywhere in the world with the greatest military anywhere in the world. Thank you. So we have a news conference. You'll all be there, so you can ask the question in a little while. We have a news conference in a little while. What would you like to ask her?
What she wants to say, Madam First Lady, can you tell us your message to children who find themselves in war zones during this Holy Week?
Well, all of this is happening for their future, so they will be safe
Melania.
in years to come.
Children that are now in a war zone, we're keeping them as safe as we can possibly keep them. But we're fighting for their parents, their grandparents. We're fighting for them. We're fighting for their future. And I will tell you, it was given to me loud and clear, the time the Iranian people are the most unhappy when you hear bombs all over is when those bombs stop. That's the problem. It's when they stop, because that means that, are they coming back? We want to have them back. And, everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. So hopefully it can be over with quickly. Again, there are lots of different alternatives. We have many alternatives. We could leave right now, and it would take them 15 years to rebuild what they have. We could leave right now. But I want to finish it up. Iran, ready, cannot have a nuclear weapon. They are lunatics, and you can't put nuclear weapons in the hands of a lunatic. Thank you very much. We'll see you at 1 o'clock.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, we'll see him at 1 o'clock, which is in about 10 minutes. And this is highly anticipated. The tweet, the Truth Social over the weekend. Hey, what the hell is up with Soleimani? Anybody remember the name Soleimani? He was the Republican Guard general in charge of the terrorists over there in Iran. President Trump personally authorized his killing all the way back in the fall of 2019. He was killed, dead. And what happened next was they put a fatwa out on President Trump. We will kill Trump. And they've been trying to kill me, Greg, ever since. And they have. Because this Soleimani guy was very, very revered inside of Iran. Actually revered by Martha Raddatz. If you watch, she went over there for the funeral. Seemed to mourn. It was really an amazing piece. I should run that again tonight. Anyway, it turns out that his niece is, I don't know, it looks like she's a wannabe Kardashian in Los Angeles, with the great big ass and the bikinis and the stupid little toy dog that you can put in a purse and dumb, SUVs, like, the Mercedes. What's that damn thing that looks like a German something or other? It's this very high-end SUV by Mercedes, which I love Mercedes, but this one car I can't quite figure out. I can't figure it out. It's like what is that thing? It looks very military. I hear it's a great car, a little bit on the high maintenance side. But this talentless woman with the big ass and is always tweeting about how great Iran is. Well, they just kicked her out of America. Maybe we can make arrangements for her to go back to Iran if she wants to promote Iran so much. She was here apparently on a visa. And if you're going to be rooting for the enemy and you're not really a citizen and you're related to the bad guy, I think you get a trip home. I'm totally cool with that. So lots of people telling me, I tweeted over the weekend. You want to hear what happened? I was in the news all over again. My Twitter is on fire. At Greg Kelly USA, if you want to find out what all the fun is about, at Greg Kelly USA, Twitter and Instagram. So President Trump, as he does sometimes, put out a controversial Truth Social. And how dare he speak like people speak, right? You're the president. You're supposed to be what? What are you supposed to be? All right. Ever since Bill Clinton got it on with the intern, I think the standards have changed, rather drastically. And this has always been kind of an artificial thing. This is to keep the president's hands tied. No more. No more. So President Trump put out, I guess this was yesterday, Tuesday will be power plant day and bridge day, all wrapped up in one in Iran. There will be nothing like it. Open the effing straight, you crazy bastards. And he wrote it the whole word out, effing, F-U-C-I, you crazy bastards, or you will be living in hell. Just watch. Praise to Allah. President Donald J. Trump. Now, I'm not sure what the Allah thing was about. I don't know. What the hell? Why not? You got to make a tweet memorable. You got people questioning, okay, what do they mean by that? But they're not questioning what do they mean by, bridge day and power plant day. That's kind of a genius tweet. So what did I write on my social media? And everybody got mad at me. Me, the nicest guy in the world. Everyone's so horrified at President Trump and his language. Give me a break. This is the way people talk. Get over it. It's barely lunchtime, and I've heard the F word on the streets of NYC a dozen times. Trump is keeping it real. We are going to win. All hell breaks loose. I mean, all hell breaks loose. I start getting calls from relatives. Oh, my God, how can Greg say such a thing? I'm trending in Dubai. I'm trending in South Africa. I'm trending everywhere. And, of course, this throws my wife into a panic. Maybe we should take that down. Maybe I'll say, why? I'm just defending what the president of the United States said. You're allowed to do that in America. You're allowed to say things. So guess what they did? Because I took this radical stance that I, defended the president of the United States. I'm not going to act aghast because he used the F word. I'm just not. I noticed this as a child when I was in the second grade, that the president always seemed like an underdog. Everybody was always hassling the president. They were making fun of him on Saturday Night Live, on those Sunday shows. They'd all gang up on him, right? It kept thousands and thousands of people in the criticism business. So I say again, all right, what's the big deal? Get over it. This is the way people talk. What did they do? They go into my files. Well, we got to get Greg Kelly on something here. Let's get something on Greg Kelly. And sure enough, they did. If you call this something, they found an old tweet of mine in 2022. I don't remember why I wrote it, although I have an idea. And X put this up. Okay, they put it up under mine. Involuntarily. They did this on their own. Elon Musk's company did this. And this was the number one tweet in the world yesterday for about 90 minutes. What did they do? Community rated helpful. This is called a community note. The community found this and they put it up on my thing. All right, so this is my tweet in 2022. I frown upon offensive vulgarity! ! I favor a ban, voluntary, on the F word. Should only be uttered in private, in certain situations, never in public. And, okay, so 4 years ago, Greg, you said that people shouldn't use the F word. Now you're defending the president. Well, a lot of things have happened over the past 2 years. 4 years, that is. 4 years. I saw friends rot in jail for not doing anything wrong, for shooting their mouths off. And you're allowed to shoot your mouth off in America, for crying out loud. Enrique Tarrio and the rest. I said, no, so that happened. You're allowed to, and we're supposed to. And it's true. I don't like it when I'm on the sidewalk and a girl says, "Oh, can you effing believe that she did that?" Or I don't like hearing it in conversation. But if somebody wants to use it in a tweet deliberatively to make a point, especially the president, I'm fine. You know, I heard Joe Biden use it. I heard Barack Obama use it. I heard George W. Bush use it. I hear celebrities use it all the time, and it's always, oh, wow, that's so fun. That's so fun. The little joke I put in here that very few people picked up on should only be uttered in private in certain situations. And I put certain in quotes. Meaning the word can be used in the bedroom. I'm okay with that. In fact, I'm very okay with that. I'll be right back.
Greg Kelly
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Greg Kelly, entertaining and informative
on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Righty, we're back. 800-848-9222. 800-848-9222. Artemis. You know, I like a couple of things about this Artemis thing. We're back near the moon. Also, the astronauts are all older. 2 of them are 50 years old. Another one is 47. Another one is 49. That is significantly older than our first batch of moon astronauts. If you go and look back at Apollo, most of them were in their mid to late 30s. And now 50. The commander of this thing is 50. That would have been too old back in Apollo. Not now. And by the way, they're all fit. They all look really cool, and they're at the top of their game. I feel like we are in a situation where age can be dismissed as a factor. I hope so. I mean, part of it is President Trump. President Trump is 79 years old. He's going to be 80 in 2 months, and nobody really seems to care. It's the last thing you think of with President Trump. Do you think, oh my gosh, he's so old? Nobody says that. Nobody thinks about that. He is the coolest, hippest, in the middle of it all kind of guy, and it has nothing to do. You know, age doesn't matter. It's not a factor. Now, we can make it a factor. You know, America is one of the few countries. No, I wouldn't say one of the few, but, well, we're not like Japan. And this is one way where Japan is very admirable. You know what they do in Japan? They admire their elderly. They treat them with respect. They don't make goofy commercials, you know, and make jokes about Depends underwear and stuff like that. Only in America, right? Well, maybe other countries, but I know in Asian countries they tend not to do this. Revere your elders, respect them, and hopefully, if all goes according to plan, you will be an elder someday yourself, and you shouldn't be the butt of jerks in Metamucil commercials. The butt of jokes, or you know what I mean? I just don't like that. And I don't care how cool you think you are right now, one day you're going to be old again. I think also to people who were like 90 years old, 91 years old, and what they were like in 1970, I mean, they were listening to disco music, right? I mean, these were cool people. You know, there was a time, like if you were 90, well, that means you were born, you know, in the 1800s or something like that, right? It was a totally, no, now it's like kind of, I met a 90-year-old guy a couple of years ago who used to go to Studio 54, and it wasn't like he was some old-timer back in the day. He was cool. He was hip. His favorite, we started talking about music, his favorite music was Donna Summer. Now, Donna Summer, some of that stuff is almost 50 years old, right? It's just interesting how it's kind of timeless, that music. And Giorgio, what was that guy's name? Giorgio Moroder, and the our music is kind of plateaued, and so have our rockets. So have our rocket ships. You know, there was a report over the weekend, and it scared the hell out of me, that there was a burning smell inside the Artemis. A burning smell, and I'm like, uh-oh, here we go again. Is this going to be Apollo 13 all over? Right? I was very, very worried. And then I start to get very, very angry, to be honest. I started to get angry, like, gosh, damn it, you know? You know, this rocket, we kind of scrapped it together from stuff that was laying around the house. Solid rocket boosters from the space shuttle program, you know, just little, you know, from the scrapyard, just putting stuff all together. The rocket side by side with the Apollo is not an advancement. I put a picture up the other day. You've got the Apollo space capsule and I put it next to the Artemis space capsule. They are identical. 60 years separates the development of the two. Why haven't we made more strides? Why aren't we better? I think we should be better. Part of it is we're all on dope. We're all high on dope, and we're all distracted by our phones. Speaking of which, the Gavin Newsom book, I went a little bit deeper. I went a little bit deeper in that bad boy. Oh, my gosh, what a scandal. I am going to blow that man's candidacy wide open. I've been working on this thing for a solid week now. I probably have another 2 or 3 days left of work. I have shown that Gavin Newsom, it's one thing to call a politician a phony, right? And so many of them are phonies. But here's the thing with Gavin. Gavin now says he's authentic, right? He's authentic. What's fascinating to me is his version of authenticity is confessing that he's been a phony. He's confessing that he's been a phony. He's saying some wild, weird stuff lately. I got a 960 SAT. I'm like you, black people. I can't read either. And his wife is making crazy news all over the place. Something has shifted in Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. For a long time, he was known for his polish and his message discipline, but now he appears to be trying on a different kind of politics. Something looser, something more improvisational. This is from my piece that I'm working on. And it is not sitting naturally. The statements come out oddly. The phrasing wobbles. The physical presentation, the hands, the pacing, the delivery feels overworked, not effortless. It's not that he's suddenly speaking more. It's that he's speaking differently, as if he's attempting to operate in a style he has not internalized. And the result, more often than not, is a visible strain. Now, this is my opinion here. This looks like an effort to compete in a political arena defined by Donald Trump, a style that can appear chaotic on the surface, but is often more controlled than it seems. Trump's provocations frequently land because they attach themselves to something real, however bluntly expressed, and they command attention in a way that conventional messaging does not. Newsom appears to be reaching for that same effect, but this is not a language he has spent a career speaking, and the attempt to adopt it quickly, visibly, and in public has left him looking stupid and unsettled. This is going to change the world, I'm serious. This will render Gavin Newsom's candidacy over before it starts. Be right back. President Trump moments away from a great big super duper press conference.
Thanks for listening to The Greg Kelly Show. You can hear The Greg Kelly Show weekdays at 12:15 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?
This is Roger Stone for American Sovereign Bullion. Since 2020, the U.S. dollar has lost over 20% of its purchasing power. Meanwhile, gold continues to rise. Call 844-272-2428 or go to ASBGold.com now to get your free gold and silver guide and learn how to protect your wealth with physical gold and silver delivered to your door or held in a gold IRA today. So go to ASBGold.com now. Don't wait for the markets to drop. That's ASBGold.com.